We're now actually heading over to India, which is going to be a huge section of our festival or our programming for today. We're very excited for that. And before we introduce Baladev Prabhu, a huge thank you to my Canadian sister, Katamrita, for leading us in both, in 3 places, in Australia, Japan, and Thailand. And she'll be joining all of you shortly again for, if you could remind everybody, after India. New Zealand, which is her home country now. So we'll hear a lot about that. And Fiji, of course. So thank you again, Katamrita. I'll be joining you.
Having me, everyone.
Yes.
And best of luck for our friends in India.
Yes, so we're very excited and honored to introduce Baladev Prabhu, who will be heading and hosting the India segment for our World Gita Day Festival. We also want to remind everybody who's watching, there is a scroll at the bottom of your screen, either top or the bottom, where you can see all of the participants who have been participating in distributing and sharing the Bhagavad Gita through this whole year. So a huge thank you to all of them. But again, we have the very highly qualified devotee, Baladev Prabhu, who will be leading us in this part of India. He has led a lifetime of devotional service and many, many qualifications that we're so eager to hear about. So a huge welcome to Baladev Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Can you hear me, Rukmini Mataji?
Yes, very loud and clear.
Thank you. So I'll chant the invocation prayers and I'll begin. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Deshatarini Mancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, thank you very much, Rukmini Mataji, for getting us here. Especially want to thank His Grace Vaisheshik Prabhu and his global team for organizing this beautiful event, the World Gita Day. So I am here on behalf of the ICC ISKCON India Continental Committee, and I'll be going through this program from the India side. Right at this time, IST time is 10 a.m. till 12:30 noon. So I was when I was a university student, I came across the Bhagavad Gita, and I went for the first program in ISKCON, and I heard a very beautiful talk there. It was a talk on Mahabharat, where there was a discussion between Yudhishthir Maharaj and a Yaksha. So we all know in Mahabharata this beautiful episode of the wonderful questions being asked by Yaksha, and Yudhishthir Maharaj brilliantly answers those questions. So one of the questions which a Yaksha asked Yudhishthir Maharaj was that what is the best bath, bathing, which is the best bath? And of course, Yudhishthir Maharaj did not reply as shower bath or tap bath or river bath or well bath. He replied in a unique way. The best bath is to immerse or submerge ourselves into the lake of absolute truth. So the Acharyas give a beautiful explanation. This lake of absolute truth actually represents the beautiful books of wisdom which our Vedas have given us, especially the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and the other Puranas. So when I was visiting the temple, one of our very senior devotees here, one of our temple presidents here, Shamanand Prabhu, he is a very big book distributor here. So he asked me, what course you're doing in your university? And I was doing my graduation in physics that time there. So I told I'm doing BSc. That's the acronym for the course, BSc. So he told me that, well, in ISKCON, we also do BSc. So I was surprised that ISKCON also has a BSc course. And then he told, actually in BSc course in ISKCON is Bhagavad Gita, B as Srimad Bhagavatam, and C Chaitanya Charitamrita. And that's what, I left my university, I graduated from university, but I'm still learning. And we are here, we are celebrating this World Gita Day today to detail the impact of Bhagavad Gita in the life of all, not just devotees, but also all over the world. So we are very happy that we have been invited here, the Indian Yatra, for presenting our thoughts, our wisdom. And we'd like to thank again His Grace Vaisheshik Prabhu and his team for inviting us. We will like to begin today in a very positive and very beautiful note, because the ICC, the Indian Continental Committee Chairman, His Grace Sahadev Prabhu, Dr. Sahadev Prabhu is here with us. Prabhuji is very busy with his schedules, but somehow that he squeezed his time. We told him he has to be there in the beginning of the class, this whole program, and he's going to be there throughout the class also, the program. Dr. Sahadev Prabhu is, apart from being chairman of the ICC committee, he is a long-standing devotee of ISKCON since decades. He is a very well acclaimed international author, and he's also a very accomplished musician, and is a very senior devotee in ISKCON. In fact, the whole ICC book distribution committee, which is actually organizing this book distribution in India, has been always inspired by the presence and the wisdom of His Grace Sahadev Prabhu. So we like to invite Dr. Sahadev Prabhu to kindly come forward and speak on the impact of Bhagavad Gita in the modern world. Sahadev Prabhu, please take over. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Baladev Prabhu. You are always very kind and very wonderful, very organized, very precise. So, Om Ajnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Shlagya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. This is all we are left with now. The world is the iceberg of sin. You know, what we are seeing is just the tip of the iceberg. So many sinful activities that and in fact, I wrote a cinema script maybe 20 years ago that Ravana curses. He found one of his bodyguards, associating too much with Vibhishana and even secretly hearing from him. So Ravana curses him to take birth in Kali Yuga, and he pops up in, through like this show in Hollywood's, through a drain into Delhi, in modern day Delhi, and he goes around, and he finds that the sinful activities of Lanka were nothing compared to the sinful activities. There were no organized abortions. There were no abortion. There were no organized meat export, no online ordering of, all kinds of, and like to call them Rakshasas, he felt, is like an insult, gross insult to defamation to the Rakshasas, So we have only one tool. Actually, just now as the discussion was going on, I was thinking that without our books, we are just another hodgepodge. We would be just another hodgepodge spiritual organization, or a spiritual organization without a Vaishnava organization for sure, without any preaching, without any impact. It's a book distribution is our cutting edge. We would be sitting there like a ship stuck in Antarctica. In Arctic Circle, a ship gets stuck. It just has to sit there. That's what is happening with all kind of many Vaishnava organizations. What differentiates us from them is Srila Prabhupada's books and their distribution. So without books, we don't stand a chance. We would be quite a disorganized movement. without the books. Now, I'll come to the point that the books actually, like white ants, furniture looks the same, but the books has eaten into the vitals of this sinful civilization. Years, decades of book distribution, getting into the homes. This is a very big subject matter. And without our realizing this silent work of book distribution has impacted the consciousness of the world. And I won't get into it, but actually that's what to me, and I can explain better some other day, that has actually warded off the nuclear holocaust. I feel the Third World War, our widespread book distribution, a steady book distribution. So book distribution is actually installing a deity in every home. And that's where in a collective karma, book distribution has made a difference in the collective karma of the world. So you are making a difference. You are changing the world. Take a book bag and step out. Once you step out of your comfort zone, comfortable temple, your home, your workplace, Super Soul, Krishna takes over. He guides you. He takes over. And that's when the difference starts. That's when the magic starts happening. You see, Srila Prabhupada did the opposite. In the old age, people go to Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada left Vrindavan. And that too for Malaksha or Yavana countries, the places, that was forbidden. This to go across the ocean. It was forbidden. And Srila Prabhupada did it. So, he goes to Vrindavan. He leaves one Vrindavan and goes to Vrindavan. Book distributors are closer to Krishna on the street, on the subway stations, in the subway stations, in malls, than they are in the temple, or I would say even in the holy land of Vrindavan. They are in Vrindavan. The one Mataji, she was quite elderly in London. So she thought of retiring in Vrindavan. And she was looking at the ticketing options and staying facilities in Vrindavan, probably renting or buying an apartment or something. That night she had a dream. She had set up a book table near Soho Street, and the whole street is flooded. So she asked a passerby, excuse me, why there is so much water today? Then he turns around and looks surprised. With a surprised look, he says, what do you expect in Radha Kund? Water will be there where there is Radha Kund. Then she woke up and she realized that this is actually where I'm setting up book table is not different from Radha Kund. Krishna in his incarnation is there. His Aladini Shakti is there. Krishna Sadhamopagate in literary incarnation is there. This is Radha Kund. So right there in the middle of the city, the sinful city, she realized I am in Radha Kund, and she gave up the thought of retiring to Radha Kund and still continuing book distribution. So this is the right place. Every place is the right place. Every time is the right time. You just have to do it, like Naikade says. Just do it. Just step out. Take a bag. Don't think. Just do it. There's a devotee. He always carries books with him. There are a lot of devotees like that. And the amazing experiences. They're not full-time brahmachari book distributors, but he just carries. He got out, in Florida, he got out of his car and saw another car pulling up, in the driveway, in the he was wanting to go to Borders, a bookstore. So he just got down and knocked on his what you call on his glass, and the guy rolled down the window, and he showed him a book, Topmost Yoga System, and spoke few words. And okay, fine, and gave a small donation. Fine. Now he went into the bookstore, and he is in the bookstore. Then while searching and selecting his books, he saw through the glass that the person whom he just sold the book, he opened the first page, and he's like, while waiting there, I guess he was waiting for somebody. He is waiting there and he's reading, and he goes that looks so like he was sounding quite impressed with what he saw, what he was reading. And he's reading, and he turns the page, he goes to the second page, and that he's happy, obviously, that the person he had just sold him, and he's like enjoying his book. And just after a couple of minutes, a car pulls up, they roll down their window, and they shoot like many bullets into the person. Wow. And the person is dead with the Topmost Yoga System sitting on his chest. Just in time he received Krishna's, Krishna and Krishna's mercy. Then another, I'll tell you, just in time, two brahmacharis in Mumbai city, that was maybe 10 years ago, they knocked on an apartment door, and there was no response. They again pressed the call bell, there was no response. And again, third time, so the junior brahmachari was getting a little jittery. He said, Prabhu, I think let us try another. He said, just hang on. After third calling, the door opens, and there is a lady comes out, young lady, and screams at them. Hey, why are you disturbing this early in the morning? You don't have anything else to do, and this and that, and smashes the door on them, shuts the door. Oh, that the quite shaken up, the junior, and the senior brahmachari, he presses the call bell again. My God, the junior was like, and then she opens the door and she kind of starts screaming, yelling at them. Then he says, Mataji, ma'am, we just want to explain few minutes. What's the problem? We are not here. We are here to give something nice. Kindly just here for a few minutes. And then she says, okay, what do you want to tell? Then he opens a Gita and, blurts out his mantra or whatever. And then she stands there and she starts crying. She says, coming. And when they go, it's a surreal, when they go inside, there is a chair, there is a noose hanging from the fan. And she was actually just putting on the noose. That time the knock happened. So they made just in time. And that lady is now an initiated devotee and practicing devotee. And, just see what is the right time. Where there is a will, there is a way. I'll close here with just a small couple of incidents. This is about, I think he was named Ghanashyam, Bhaktitirth Maharaj, before taking sannyas. So one chilly morning, he asked another devotee to join him for book distribution. That devotee was feeling very tired, and that he was very tired, and then he gave him a look that how it's like a person is dying and you don't give him a glass of water, or burning man, you don't throw some water on him. That kind of a look. So devotee anyway accompanied him. They went to college. Now, unfortunately, the college was closed. There were locks on the door. And there was a small opening, of course. So devotee said, Prabhu, let's go. This is closed. He said, well, wait. Since we have come, Prabhu, what are you going to do in a college which is closed? He said, okay, let me, you just wait here. So he went in with his bag, Ghanesham Prabhu. And the devotee is waiting in the car. It's been an hour, you know. So when he came back, his bag is empty. Then he says, what happened? He says, well, there is a will, there is a way. He found the janitor cleaning the bathrooms. And the janitor, he was preaching to him, and janitor kind of bought the whole set. And he emptied his bag. So in a closed college, he distributed books. And I'll tell you, I'll close with this last, this personal experience. There was, I think, when I first arrived in Secunderabad city, the temple was, there was a, the guest came in little late at night. We were just a handful of us at that time, and I had already gone to bed. So I think it was something like 10:30, and a devotee from Europe had arrived. We are very close to the railway station, hardly a kilometer. So he walked in, and the other devotee, he was up. So, and he showed him, gave him a mat and whatever in the ashram, and welcomed him. So I was told this story, the next day, of course, after Mangala Aarti. So that devotee asked him at 10:30, he settled himself quickly and asked him, do you think, Prabhu, any markets or anything is open now? It was, December and quite a little cold here. Said, Prabhu, wow, nothing is open at this hour. There is nothing. Then that devotee said, Prabhu, I have a weekly quota, and I still have 7 books to go. So I got to, before 12 midnight strikes midnight, I got to complete it. And he packed his bag and left the temple. And anyway, that devotee went to take rest, and he must have arrived whenever. And morning he told, yes, he sold. That devotee at night, he went to, walking, and he landed up in the railway station. There was some couple of beggars who got it. There was a kind of, some drunkard who got one, and antisocial looking elements got, there were no trains at that hour also. And he did, before 12 o'clock, he completed his weekly quota. That was the weekend night. So you see, that's how, sorry, I'm over time a bit, but that's how, this is what we need to hear in our movement now. We have to inspire, there has to be katha of book distribution. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sadhya Prabhu, for your wonderful talk. Especially, we like those stories you narrated, enlivening about how Bhagavad Gita has saved so many people's lives. And especially thanks, Sadhya Prabhu, for helping us in this book distribution committee here in India, because of the consolidated effort and organized effort this year, we could reach to all the centers and temples in India and get pledges. And you'll be happy to know that throughout the India, the Indian Yatra has pledged around 2 million Bhagavad Gitas for this book distribution marathon. Hari Bol. Thank you, Sadhya Prabhu, for joining us. So now we take the program ahead. We wanted to begin with an invocation chant. We all are discussing about the Bhagavad Gita. So we thought, let's invite our young Gurukul boys. As you all know, in India, we have many Gurukuls, especially we have one in Vrindavan, one in Mayapur, and one in Mumbai. And also we have a very beautiful Gurukul in Pandharpur as well. So we are inviting now the Gurukul students of Pandharpur Yatra and they will be here to chant the Gita Mahatmya prayers. They will also do a Viniyog prayers, and also they will chant the chapter number 12th and chapter number 15th of the Bhagavad Gita. So we'll begin with that. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
गीताशास्त्रमिदं पुण्यं यः पठेत् प्रयतः पुमान् विष्णोर्पदमवाप्नोति भयशोकादिवर्जितः गीताध्ययनशीलस्य प्राणायामपरस्य च नैव सन्ति हि पापानि पूर्वजन्मकृतानि च मलनिर्मोचनं पुंसां जलस्नानं दिने दिने सकृद्गीताम्बसि स्नानं संसारमलनाशनम् गीता सुगीता कर्तव्या किमन्यै शास्त्रविस्तरैः या स्वयं पद्मनाभस्य मुखपद्मद्विनिसृता भारतामृतसर्वस्वं विष्णोर्वक्त्राद्विनिसृतम् गीता गङ्गोदकं पीत्वा पुनर्जन्म न विद्यते सर्वोपनिषदो गावो दोग्धा गोपालनन्दनः पार्थो वत्ससुधीर्भुक्ता दुग्धं गीतामृतं महत् एकं शास्त्रं देवकी पुत्रगीतम् एको देवो देवकी पुत्र एव एको मन्त्रस्तस्य नामानि यानि कर्माप्येकं तस्य देवस्य सेवा ॐ अस्य श्रीमद्भगवद्गीता माला मन्त्रस्य भगवान् वेदव्यास ऋषिः अनुष्टुप्छन्दः श्रीकृष्ण परमात्मा देवता अशोच्यानन्वशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश भाषसे इति बीजं सर्वधर्मान् परित्यज्य मामेकं शरणं व्रज इति शक्ति अहं त्वां सर्वपापेभ्यो मोक्षयिष्यामि मा शुचः इति कीलकम् अथ करन्यासः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः इति अङ्गुष्ठाभ्यां नमः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः इति तर्जनीभ्यां नमः अच्छेद्योऽयमदायोऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च इति मध्यमाभ्यां नमः नित्यः सर्वगतस्थानो रचलोऽयं सनातनः इति अनामिकाभ्यां नमः पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोथसहस्रशः इति कनिष्ठिकाभ्यां नमः नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतानि च इति करतलकरपृष्ठाभ्यां नमः इति करन्यासः अथ विद्यादिन्यासः नैनं छिन्दन्ति शस्त्राणि नैनं दहति पावकः इति विद्याय नमः न चैनं क्लेदयन्त्यापो न शोषयति मारुतः इति शीर्षे स्वाहा अच्छेद्योऽयमदायोऽयम् अक्लेद्यो शोष्य एव च इति शिखाय वषट् नित्यः सर्वगतस्थानो रचलोऽयं सनातनः इति कवचाय हुम् पश्य मे पार्थरूपाणि शतशोथसहस्रशः इति नेत्रत्रायाय वषट् नानाविधानि दिव्यानि नानावर्णाकृतानि च इति अस्त्राय वषट् इति विद्यादिन्यासः श्रीकृष्णप्रीत्यर्थे पाठे विनियोगः ॐ अर्जुन उवाच एवं सततयुक्ता ये भक्तास्त्वं पर्युपासते ये चाप्यक्षरमव्यक्तं तेषां के योगवित्तमाः श्रीभगवानुवाच मय्यावेश्य मनो ये मां नित्ययुक्ता उपासते श्रद्धया परयोपेतास्ते मे युक्ततमा मताः ये त्वक्षरमनिर्देश्यम् अव्यक्तं पर्युपासते सर्वत्र गमचिन्त्यं च कूटस्थम् अचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियम्येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र समबुद्धयः ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखं देहवद्भिरवाप्यते ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्युसंसारसागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशितचेतसाम् मय्येव मन आधत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवशिष्यसि मय्येव अथ ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अथ चित्तं समादातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यासयोगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽप्यसमर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थमपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिमवाप्स्यसि अथैतदप्यशक्तोऽसि कर्तुं मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागस्ततः कुरु यदात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानात् ध्यानं विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागस्त्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखः सुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यतात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पितमनो बुद्धिर्यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यस्मान्नोद्रियते लोको लोकानोद्रियते च यः हर्षामर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षः शुचिर्दक्ष उदासीनो गतव्यतः सर्वारम्भपरित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभाशुभपरित्यागी भक्तिमान्यः स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मानापमानयोः शीतोष्णसुखदुःखेषु समः सङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान्यः प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्मामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धदाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेतीव मे प्रियाः ॐ श्रीभगवानुवाच ऊर्ध्वमूलमदशाखम् अश्वत्थं प्राहुरव्ययम् छन्दांसि यस्य पर्णानि यस्तं वेद स वेदवित् अधश्चोर्ध्वं प्रसृतास्तस्य शाखा गुणः प्रवृद्धा विषयप्रवालाः अधश्च मूलानि विसन्ततानि कर्मानुबन्धीनि मनुष्यलोके न रूपमस्येह तथोपलभ्यते नान्तो न चादिर्न च सम्प्रतिष्ठा अश्वत्थमेनं सुविरूढमूलम् असङ्गशस्त्रेण दृढेन चित्वा ततः पदं तत्परिमार्गितव्यं यस्मिन् गता न निवर्तन्ति भूयाः तमेव चाद्यं पुरुषं प्रपद्ये यतः प्रवृत्ति प्रसृता पुराणी निर्माणमोहाजितसङ्गदोषा आध्यात्मनित्या विनिवृत्तकामाः द्वन्द्वैर्विमुक्ता सुखदुःखसंज्ञैर्गच्छन्ति मूढा पदमव्ययं तत् न तद्भासयते सूर्यो न शशाङ्को न पावकः यद्गत्वा न निवर्तन्ते तद्धाम परमं मम ममैवांशो जीवलोके जीवभूतः सनातनः मनषष्ठानि इन्द्रियाणि प्रकृतिस्थानि कर्षति शरीरं यदवाप्नोति यच्चाप्युत्क्रामतीश्वरः गृहे त्वैतानि संयाति वायुर्गन्धानि वाशयात् श्रोत्रं चक्षुस्पर्शनं च रसनं घ्राणमेव च अधिष्ठाय मनश्चायं विषयानुपसेवते उत्क्रामन्तं स्थितं वापि भुञ्जानं वा गुणान्वितं विमूढानानुपश्यन्ति पश्यन्ति ज्ञानचक्षुषः यतन्तो योगिनः शयनं पश्यन्त्यात्मन्यवस्थितं यतन्तोऽप्यकृतात्मानो नैनं पश्यन्त चेतसः यदादित्यगतं तेजो जगद्भासयतेऽखिलम् यच्चन्द्रमसि यच्चाग्नौ तत्तेजो विद्धि मामकम् गामाविश्य च भूतानि धारयाम्यहमोजसा पुष्णामि चौषधिः सर्वा सोमो भूत्वा रसात्मकः अहं वैश्वानरो भूत्वा प्राणिनां देहमाश्रितः प्राणापानसमायुक्तः पचाम्यन्नं चतुर्विधम् सर्वस्य चाहं हृदि सन्निविष्टो मत्तः स्मृतिर्ज्ञानमपोहनं च वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद्वेदविदेव चाहम् द्वाविमौ पुरुषौ लोके क्षरक्षाक्षर एव च क्षरः सर्वाणि भूतानि कूटस्थोऽक्षर उच्यते उत्तमः पुरुषस्त्वन्यः परमात्मेत्युदारितः यो लोकत्रयमाविश्य बिभर्तव्य ईश्वरः यस्माक्षरमतीतोऽहम् अक्षरादपि चोत्तमः अतोऽस्मि लोके वेदे च प्रतितः पुरुषोत्तमः यो मामेवमसम्मूढो जानाति पुरुषोत्तमः स सर्वविद् भजति मां सर्वभावेन भारत इति गुह्यतमं शास्त्रम् इदमुक्तं मया नघ एतद् बुद्ध्वा बुद्धिमान् स्यात् कृतकृत्यश्च भारत। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for all the wonderful Gurukul students of ISKCON Pandharpur. We are very much indeed thankful to His Grace Jagannath Kripa Prabhu, the Gurukul in charge at Pandharpur Dham, for training so beautifully this Gurukul kids and establishing the Gurukul under the auspicious guidance of His Holiness Lokanath Swami Maharaj. As you all know, Pandharpur is a very, very holy place in the land of India. And Srila Prabhupada also has commented about Pandharpur, the saint of Maharashtra, Tukaram Maharaj. And it is in Pandharpur here that we have a very beautiful ISKCON temple, Shri Radha Pandharinath, on the banks of the river Chandrabhaga. Pandharpur is a very holy place where Lord Vitthal, Lord Krishna, who came all the way from Dwarka to meet his devotee Pundalika, and on his request, then Lord remained here, standing on a brick in a waiting pose. And since then, millions and millions of devotees and people have come to take darshan, take the beautiful darshan of Lord Vitthala here. It's a land of great saints. In fact, someone told me that one of the state of where Pandharpur is Maharashtra, and the name Maharashtra has come after because there are so many saints who have been born in this state. So because it is a state of Mahabhagavat, so the name Maharashtra has come. So thank you very much, Jagannath Kripapu, for engaging this beautiful chants for all of us from Pandharpur Gurukul. At this time, I also want to beautifully narrate to you one beautiful example of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada was in Vrindavan Dham, and a group of Pandits had come to meet Srila Prabhupada, and they were boasting that Prabhupada, Swamiji, we can chant the whole Bhagavad Gita from top to bottom, from start to end, and we can do upside down, from back to again front. And then Prabhupada chuckled, and Prabhupada said, yes, you can chant all the mantras and you can do in a very short time, but can you practice this Bhagavad Gita even for 2 minutes in your life? So that's it. Srila Prabhupada also was not just encouraging Vedic chants, but also was encouraging the practical experience of Bhagavad Gita. And we can see, following the footsteps of Srila Prabhupada, in ISKCON today we have great devotees who can chant so beautifully Bhagavad Gita chapters by heart in proper meter. And we also have devotees who can apply the Bhagavad Gita in all sectors of today's modern world. At this time, I want to introduce to you all to a very, very wonderful devotee in the Indian Yatra, who's a very well-known motivational speaker. He is Dr. Vivek Bindra. His initiated name is Venu Madhav Das. He hails from Delhi, and many of you already have heard about him. Dr. Vivek Bindra is currently the CEO and the founder of badabusiness.com. He is one of the greatest influential speaker, motivational speaker, leadership consultant, and he holds 7 Guinness World Record for all his motivational speeches. In fact, his own channel where he gives beautiful insights to entrepreneurship and leadership. His channel is one of the #1 most subscribed channel in entrepreneurship and leadership development, and they have around 17.5 million subscribers. So why I'm giving all the statistics to all of you is that you'll be very happy to know that Dr. Vivek Bindra, Venu Madhav Prabhu, is so influential, yet he connects Bhagavad Gita teachings in maximum of his seminars. He is well known as a ISKCON devotee in the corporate sector, leading motivational speeches in corporate, in industries, and leadership coaches. And Dr. Vivek Bindra, recently on the occasion of Srila Prabhupada 125th celebrations anniversary, Vivek Bindra, he did a beautiful youth seminar all over the India. It was an online seminar, and it created a world record for Srila Prabhupada's glorification. And when he was giving live show, it went for 2.5 hours of live show called as Business Yoga from the Bhagavad Gita. And there were live audience of around 1.50 lakhs. 150,000 viewers, live viewers. And at the end of the program, we had around more than 2 million people who had viewed this whole video. So Dr. Vivek Bindra is a very influential person, and he often speaks on the themes and the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita in his motivational speeches. So at this time, we will refer to one of his beautiful videos where we can see that how he is dressed and decked up in a very a unique way as a motivational speaker and addressing an international gathering, and yet very dexterously glorifying the message of Bhagavad Gita.
Very, very fortunate to get an opportunity during these days to go through the teachings on Bhagavad Gita. Such beautiful, deep, powerful, immense realizations. We have an access to the thought process that he has made available to all of us. And access to Krishna was available to Arjuna, but through Arjuna it is now available to all of us. There may be a lot of great leaders, but I have felt the first ever motivational seminar which was spoken on the planet Earth was 5,200 years ago. The first ever motivational leadership workshop which was given on the planet Earth was in the battlefield of Kurukshetra, not in a air-conditioned conference room like this. It was spoken when there was a deep crisis. The war was not with the words, the war, people were ready to kill each other. The way Arjuna had his own battle, we all have different battles. I am Vivek Bindra, International Corporate Trainer, Motivational Speaker. I may have my own battle. The lawyers, doctors, chartered accountants, teachers, students, everybody has his own battle. Amongst our battles, sometimes we get a little demotivated and discouraged to actually fight. So Krishna has given a detailed discussion, and the entire Bhagavad Gita, you will be surprised and also happy to know, was spoken in entire 48 minutes. That's called one Murata. Let me share with you, Bhagavad Gita has 700 shlokas, out of which 574 are spoken by Krishna. 84 are spoken by Arjuna, 41 by Sanjaya, and 1 by Dhritarashtra. There are 4 characters. हमारे लिए दुर्भाग्य की बात यह है कि साहब हम भगवद गीता को लाल कपड़े में लपेट के अंदर मंदिर में रख देते हैं, प्रणाम करते हैं, but we don't get an opportunity to read it. विदेशी किताबें, we might like to buy books from American authors, but we miss out the original author who gave the Bhagavad Gita to us. मेरे एक क्लाइंट है Mr. Garg, I may not, because the recording is going on, I may not get the name in detail. He was telling me once, Mr. Bindra, मेरे दादाजी लाहौर से लाए थे गीता, ये देखिए, ये 1942 की गीता, रोज प्रणाम करके दफ्तर जाते थे, उन्होंने मेरे पिताजी को दिया, वो भी रोज प्रणाम करके दफ्तर जाते थे, उन्होंने मुझे दिया, मैं भी रोज प्रणाम करके दफ्तर जाता हूं, मैं अपने पुत्र को दूंगा, वो भी प्रणाम करके दफ्तर जाएगा। अरे साहब, सब प्रणाम करेंगे, पढ़ेगा कोई नहीं। अगर प्रणाम करने में इतनी ताकत है तो पढ़ लिया तो चमत्कार हो जाएगा। यस नो? कम ऑन, यस नो?
Hare Krishna. So we saw that how Dr. Vivek Bindra Venumadu Prabhu as an influential person, picks up various themes from the Bhagavad Gita and makes it very easily, practically relatable to the audience, even though many of them are not connected to Krishna consciousness. In fact, every marathon, December marathon, when we have a book distribution going very big in India, Dr. Vivek Bindra keeps getting motivational videos online on how Bhagavad Gita could be promoted and could be distributed. And in fact, because of his motivation lectures and speeches, many times, many of our temples, they share these videos to all the congregation devotees, and they share with their relatives and friends. And in this way, many Bhagavad Gitas are sold all over India just because of this motivational speeches of Dr. Vivek Bindra. So thank you, Dr. Vivek Bindra, for this wonderful contribution in Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON Society of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books and connecting the world to Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita in a very relevant manner. At this time, we are very happy to have with us the presence of a very holy saint, His Holiness Bhakti Raghav Maharaj. Maharaj is already here. Bhakti Raghav Maharaj is a very, very senior disciple of Srila Prabhupada. Bhakti Raghav Maharaj has been well known for many, many decades, especially in ISKCON. Initially, we heard about his youth preaching all over India, and then how he connected the youth preaching to the Global Varnashram Foundation. Currently, Maharaj is leading the Global Varnashram education, and he is preaching all over the world, especially in India and Southeast Asian countries like Cambodia, Indonesia, and also Nepal. So Bhakti Raghav Maharaj is here with us. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining us today. And over to you, Maharaj, for giving us an insight of impact of Bhagavad Gita in modern world. Over to you, Maharaj. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhisam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. I would like to begin by thanking the organizers of this program. Today, I think, under the guidance of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu, I believe it has started possibly last year, or maybe even before, declaring one particular day, which happens to be today, World Gita Day. There are many activities going on actually this month in connection with the Bhagavad Gita, and it should be like that, of course, because Bhagavad Gita has been and continues to be the main book which has brought and will continue to bring so many people to Krishna consciousness. We, as members of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, are naturally, eternally indebted to our founder, Acharya of Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, for giving us the Bhagavad Gita as it is. As Prabhupada would explain, when being asked many, many years ago in North America by one lady, can you recommend an edition of Bhagavad Gita? And Srila Prabhupada had answered that, and at that time there were possibly 700 or so editions of Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada was quite straightforward and mentioned that I'm not able to do that because all the Bhagavad Gitas that I know are not presenting the message of Lord Krishna as it is. Many of us, myself personally, have come to Krishna consciousness through the Bhagavad Gita. We were just hearing a purport this morning in the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, first chapter, whereby Srila Prabhupada was explaining that a good student of the Bhagavad Gita can graduate to the more advanced message of the Lord, which is presented, more elaborately presented, more in detail in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And then a good student of the Srimad Bhagavatam can actually rise to the level or to the message of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is, of course, leading us to the ultimate realization of transcendence, which is developing our love for Krishna. So I'm very much indebted, especially to those who are focused on distributing books as a life mission. I had the good opportunity as a younger devotee to be involved in some book distribution. And even today, actually, we are encouraging within the ministry that we have here in India. You'll be happy to know that many people are receiving various literatures, Bhagavad Gita. I mean, in the last few years, we've had distribution in villages where people don't have very much money, through some of the outreach programs of the ISKCON Daiva Varnasrama ministry. Up to 30 and 40 Bhagavad Gitas in one evening, people would take, because Srila Prabhupada's message is so pure and transcendental. There is an effort ongoing right now to actually establish libraries in different villages. India is a very fertile field, and of course, the books, Bhagavad Gita in particular, need to be introduced everywhere. And we need to actually establish Bhagavad Gita as the most important book of knowledge, which it is actually, and explain to as many people as possible how the message of the Bhagavad Gita is simply beyond any kind of religious message. It is, of course, religion is included, but it is not a sectarian kind of message. It is a universal book of knowledge, giving a universal message, which is especially of absolute and fundamental importance for anyone who claims to be or wants to be leading within the society. The president of, or prime minister rather, of India, as most people here in India know, whenever he would visit different countries, he would actually present a copy of the Bhagavad Gita. We hope that one day he'll present the copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is to different leaders. And we should have this understanding that no one can be a good leader, a proper leader, without reading the Bhagavad Gita, without sharing the message of the Bhagavad Gita. And as Prabhupada would often say, so many wonderful verses, of course, are there, but the peace formula is very nicely explained. Bhoktaram jagyatapasam sarvalokam maheswaram suridam sarvabhutanam jatvam shantim rishyati. If we really want to establish peace in the world, the message of the Bhagavad Gita needs to be introduced in as many countries as possible at all different levels within a society, especially those who are in different types of leadership position. So I'm very happy to get this opportunity to speak very briefly to all of you and to encourage all the devotees to continue. And our main challenge, one of our main challenges, I'll just finish on this point, message of the Bhagavad Gita, message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, we know, we are convinced, is the most important message to be delivered. Our challenge is to actually make that message of the Bhagavad Gita, make that message of the Bhagavatam become a reality, demonstrate in a practical way how to live the Bhagavad Gita, how to live the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam as well. So once again, thank you all very much. And I encourage devotees, the marathon, I'm not sure exactly, but normally would go till the end of the month. Sometimes it goes a little bit beyond that as well. Sometimes starts even a little bit earlier. Devotees are so fired up, as we say, or enthusiastic in distributing Prabhupada's books that they start before the marathon and sometimes finish after the marathon. In any event, whatever it may be, sometimes it varies from one place to another. I wish the devotees all success in this most important facet or aspect of our preaching activities. Krishna says, those who preach the message of the Bhagavad Gita, they are very, very, very dear to him. Thank you all very much. Jai Sri Prabhupada ki. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for joining today with us and enlivening us with the impact of Bhagavad Gita in the modern world. Maharaj, I remember I had met you long back, around 10 years back in Kuala Lumpur, and you had very nicely enlightened in one of the classes there that how Bhagavad Gita is the most practical book and how which Srila Prabhupada's envisioning of Varnashram could also be seen through the pages of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining us. And as Maharaj, as you rightly said, that our devotees are so enthusiastic that marathon actually begins for them before the marathon actually starts, and it ends after the marathon is already over.
Yeah.
So in India, the marathon has already begun on 15th of November.
Okay.
It began, and officially we are going to end in 15th of January. So it's going to be like a 2-month marathon here. Thank you, Maharaj, for your beautiful talk. And let's thank Maharaj by 3 times chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
So Maharaj is sitting with a beautiful background of Krishna and Arjuna. So we'll take a clue from there and take you to Kurukshetra now. So Kurukshetra happens to be the place where this beautiful Bhagavad Gita was spoken originally by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna in the place called a Jyoti Sar. And we have a very beautiful ISKCON temple just connecting to Jyoti Sar, the very place where Bhagavad Gita was spoken. Kurukshetra, I remember a beautiful story from Kurukshetra that there was one seeker who had come from abroad, from Europe, and he was traveling different places and reading different books of religion and other things also. And then he came to India, read many books in India, and finally came to Kurukshetra. And at Kurukshetra, then he got a chance to read the Bhagavad Gita. So someone gave him the Prabhupada book, and when he opened the book, the first page which opened up was the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, and the verse was Matra Sparshastu Kaunteya Chito Ushna Sukha Dukkhada. And he read translation as the non-permanent appearance and disappearance of winter and summer season. Of happiness and distress are like the non-permanent appearance of winter and summer season, and one should learn to tolerate. So this seeker, he got a realization this is the most practical book in the whole world, because Bhagavad Gita is not giving a dream that you will be happy in this world, but Bhagavad Gita is teaching us reality, that this world is full of dualities and how one should learn the art of tolerance and execute his higher duties. So with Kurukshetra in picture now, we will now take you to Kurukshetra, the land of Bhagavad Gita, where Bhagavad Gita was spoken. And before we take you there, we want to especially thank His Grace Sakshi Gopal Prabhu, the temple president of ISKCON Kurukshetra. Because of his wonderful efforts and his help, we were able to conduct the Gita Yagya on the actual Gita Jayanti day, which we were able to see all over the world. It was very difficult. The time of winter is very severe there in the north, but yet because of the need of the hour, Sakshi Gopal Prabhu and his team of devotees there conducted a beautiful Yagya for the pleasure of all the devotees. In fact, he sponsored the whole Yagya for the whole all the different devotees in the world. So Sakshi Gopal Prabhu is currently under the guidance of His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, making a magnificent temple of Krishna Arjuna. And we have a beautiful video here which shows us this temple project. Srila Prabhupada, when he was on the planet Earth physically, he also visited Kurukshetra, and he told that we should have a college of Varnashram in Kurukshetra. So here we can see a beautiful project envisioning the dream of Srila Prabhupada, starting with a beautiful, magnificent temple of Krishna Arjuna here. So let's look at a brief report, a brief virtual tour of the entire project of Kurukshetra. Hare Krishna.
Dharmakshetre Kurukshetre Samaveta-yuyutsavaha Mamataha Pandavaschaiva.
Kurukshetra is a Dharma Kshetra. It is a place of religion. Why? Because Krishna is there. because in the battlefield Krishna was there directing also. So it is already Dharma. To understand Bhagavad Gita as it is, then go to Kurukshetra.
We came to Kurukshetra. Prabhupada took a dip in the holy Brahmsrovar. And then I believe Prabhupada had a program in Kurukshetra University in the Vice Chancellor's house. And then Prabhupada learned that Jyotisar is a place where Bhagavad Gita was actually spoken. So Prabhupada said, I want to build a temple in Jyotisar. This is one of my dream projects.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Sakshi Gopal Prabhu, for this wonderful project in Kurukshetra and your great help in the Gita Yagya. At this time, we would like to take now next to one of very influential businessman of India, who is also a very dedicated devotee in Srila Prabhupada's ISKCON movement. We are talking about Rishikesh Mafatlal, His Grace Krishna Chandra Das. Rishikesh Mafatlal is a well-known name, a traditional name, Mafatlal, in the Indian era of industrialist. Currently, Rishikesh Mafatlal Krishna Chandra Das is Vice Chairman and Chief Executive of the AMG Group, Arvind Mafatlal Group, which has many factories and industries dealing with textiles, rubber chemicals, and other things. Prabhu is, apart from his industrial career, Prabhuji is a well-known ISKCON devotee for last 30 years and is connected to ISKCON Chopadi Temple, where he guides the congregation devotees there. He is a very senior counselor in ISKCON Chopadi Temple, and we're very happy to connect with him today. And we have with us His Grace Krishna Chandra Prabhu, very well known as Rishikesh Mafatlal, who will speak to us about the impact of Gita on his personal life as well as corporate life. So here we have Rishikesh Mafatlal Krishna Chandra Das.
I come from a very pious family. My background was brought up in with pujas and with Ram Katha, but somehow I've never had the experience of hearing Bhagavad Gita. I didn't know exactly what Bhagavad Gita was till I met devotees almost 40 years ago. But what really struck me was that Krishna spoke to Arjuna on a battlefield, and there were many parallels to our personal lives. And for me personally, also in my business life, for instance, taking challenges that they come, how to face them, the struggles that we have to try to overcome. We get successes, we don't get successes, how do we face them? and particularly the fact that we're not the controllers. It is such a, especially if we are successful in business, we tend to think that things are under control all the time, while the reality is quite different. So to face up to things which are not in our control, but still not let the enthusiasm go, and let Krishna take care of the results as he always does. These lessons really helped me a lot. Also, the competitive edge that comes, in our occupations, how to temper it, not necessarily it cannot be eliminated in our business, but we temper it with and see that it is achieving the right results, in the sense that we do not make it personality issues. We sometimes end up becoming second best or third best, but I found it much easier after reading the Bhagavad Gita. It was not, I didn't take it as a shame. I didn't think felt it was a letdown that I didn't succeed all the time, but that we keep trying. Because I've seen in my life many times, and I think many of you may have seen that there are things which we didn't want to happen, and they happened, both positive and negative. And lots of times we have made several efforts to do something and it doesn't happen. So, it's our own background, whatever they may be, whether we are staying at home, whether we are young or old. Bhagavad Gita is very relevant because it's a life, it's a lifestyle message, that how we can, realistically accept the challenges that come, the struggles that come, and like Arjun, develop that faith that ultimately Krishna is the doer, but while he's the doer, we are instruments, and we are not robots. We have our minds, we have our own thoughts, we have our desires, and somehow if you find joy in dovetailing it with Krishna's message and understanding what he has for us in whatever we are doing, then it's a really pleasurable feeling to share this with others in the pursuit of our own devotional service. So Bhagavad Gita is really a lesson in how we can lead our lives, both in our occupation, with our families, outside, in our social ways, that in our transition from childhood to youth to old age and then departure, we will go through many different scenarios, and all these scenarios are such where we have the humility to take help. We will accept failures if they happen. We will learn from them. We will go forward, and we can ourselves, help others by our own examples. So Bhagavad Gita has been a major turning point for me personally, in that it's a very comfortable feeling to refer to the shlokas, different shlokas, to hear them in classes, to meet devotees and associate with them, especially those who have understood the purports very intimately. And I personally have really, I feel it's so comforting to refer to Bhagavad Gita for answers. And it really gives us a general approach to every aspect of life. It's not something which leads to depression, but it's something which actually takes us out of our depression or out of our low levels. One can stay constantly on a high level because even though we may see we don't have successes, nevertheless we can be peaceful and happy, contented, satisfied. And if we have successes also, how we can temper it with, contain it and let it not run to our head. So either way, Bhagavad Gita it's a great leveler in our lives.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Krishna Chandrapur, Rishi Krishna Patlalji, for your insight on the Bhagavad Gita, impact of Gita in your life, both on your devotional as well as corporate sector. At this time, we are now taking you to the holy land of Vrindavan, Braj, where we are taking you to the campus of Bhaktivedanta Gurukul and International School. And here we have His Grace Radhakant Prabhu, who is the admin head of our ISKCON Gurukul at Vrindavan. he has been very instrumental in helping the devotees there, leaders there, to establish this Gurukul, which was originally founded by Srila Prabhupada himself in Vrindavan. He was the Srila Prabhupada originally founded this Vrindavan Gurukul, and since then Gurukul has grown into large number of students and academic years. Now, because of the containment factor within the campus of ISKCON Vrindavan, the Gurukul has shifted to a new place. So His Grace Radhakant Prabhu is here to give an enlivening talk on how the impact of Bhagavad Gita in the life of kids today. So here, over to Radhakant Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. So you just now saw the beautiful chanting by the students of Bhaktivedanta Gurukul and International School in Vrindavan. They chanted the 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. In fact, many boys in the school, they remember a few chapters of Bhagavad Gita, and actually 2 boys remember the entire 700 verses of Bhagavad Gita also. So this Bhaktivedanta Gurukul and International School was founded by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, in 1976 in Vrindavan Dham. And currently, the school is located in a beautiful 60-acre campus near Vrindavan. And we put a lot of emphasis on studying Bhagavad Gita, on memorizing the slokas of Bhagavad Gita. And we have seen that this has a tremendous impact, a strong impression in the hearts of the children. Because the verses of Bhagavad Gita are so potent, so spiritually powerful, that just by chanting these verses, the students, they have a lot of positive impact. It improves their focus, their concentration. It gives them the inner strength. Because these days, a lot of temptations in the form of social media and other distractions. So, but when the students chant the verses of Bhagavad Gita, they actually are spiritually empowered and they are protected by the divine mercy of Krishna. And in fact, I would recommend that all the schools, they should make it part of their curriculum, that the students should chant the verses of Bhagavad Gita, read Srimad Bhagavad Gita. And this has really helped the students in our school. And I hope that others may also adopt this. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Radhakant Prabhu is a very accomplished devotee connected to ISKCON. In fact, he has done his BTech and MTech from IIT Kanpur, and he was doing a very big job in a multinational company, but he left it all for helping Srila Prabhupada, this project of Srila Prabhupada, the ISKCON Vrindavan Gurukul. Thank you, Prabhu, for your dedicated work in this field of activity. At this time, we are very happy to have with us a very, very senior Srila Prabhupada disciple, His Grace Bashu Ghosh Prabhu. Bashu Ghosh Prabhu is here with us. And as you all know, he is a very senior Srila Prabhupada disciple from USA, Chicago. But Prabhuji has spent maximum years of his life in India and is a very well-known Indian leader. In fact, whenever we hear about the city of Baroda in Gujarat, the only image which comes in front of us is Bashu Ghosh Prabhu for his wonderful preaching since decades there. Bashu Ghosh Prabhu is also a very well-known for his speaking in various languages, especially Hindi, I think so Gujarati also, and especially pure Sanskrit, where he is acclaimed as a very great Sanskrit scholar. And Bashu Ghosh Prabhu holds very wonderful big positions in Indian leadership here. Currently, he is the vice chairman of the Bureau India. So we have with us Bashu Ghosh Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for joining us today. And over to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
How much time is there?
Prabhu,
Somebody let me know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Prabhu, you can
10
speak for 10
minutes.
minutes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Gita Shastram idam punyam yafatet prayata puman Vishnor padam apnoti bayashokadi varjitaha Gita dhyayana shilasya pranayama parasya cha naiva santi papani purva janma kritani cha malanirmochanam pumsam jalasnanam dine dine sakrit gitambasi snanam samsara malanashanam Gita sugita kartavya kimanyai shastra vistaraihi yasvayam padmanabhasya mukha padmadvini srita bharatamrita sarvasvam vishnor vaktrad vinisritam Gita gangodakam pitva punarjanman avidyate sarvo panishado gavo dogda gopalanandanaha parthavatsa sudhir bhokta dugdam gitamritam mahat Ekam Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam Eko Devo Devaki Putra Eva Eko Nama Tasya Namani Yani Karmapyekam Tasya Devasya Seva. So that's Gita Mahatmyam from Padma Purana. There are too many things to say. World Gita Day, that's the theme. Narendra Modi became Prime Minister in 2014 and he appointed one Mataji, Sushma Swaraj, as the External Affairs Minister. And Sushma Swaraj used her post to propagate that Bhagavad Gita be India's national book. So right now, and Narendra Modi himself, when he goes abroad, he presents a copy of Bhagavad Gita by Prabhupada, BBT Bhagavad Gita to world leaders. And recently I saw a picture of India Miss Universe presenting ISKCON Prabhupada's Gita to the ex-Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu. So Prabhupada's Gita is having an effect all over the world. People are waking up to the message of Gita. And the Gita has been translated in so many languages. And among all of those languages, the one that we are especially proud of is Arabic. And Prabhupada had written that anyone who preaches to the Muslims, especially the Arabs, he didn't say especially the Arab, but he said to the Muslims, I will take the dust of his feet and put it on my head. So that much enthusiasm Prabhupada had for spreading Gita in all over the world, especially to Muslims. Prabhupada went to Iran in August of 1976. And while he was in Iran, he told the devotees, eat in anyone's house vegetarian food, but preach. And in the Farsi language, Gita has also been translated. In India, Prabhupada told his Western disciples, don't eat in the home of a non-vegetarian except fruit and milk. So to spread the teachings of Gita, there are time and circumstance. In the 1980s, after Prabhupada disappeared, even during the time of Prabhupada, devotees would smuggle books into the communist countries. Now, communism is dead in Eastern Europe since 1990. And so there's been a Hare Krishna explosion. And spearheading that explosion is Bhagavad Gita in Russian and in so many other languages. Of course, India has the most distribution of Bhagavad Gitas by BBT. I think there are certain centers, certain cities, Delhi, Bombay, Pune, and Ahmedabad, and Mayapur. But Mayapur is not a city, but they have 10 book distribution parties that go all over Eastern India and distribute Bhagavad Gitas. And I know Ahmedabad did a lack of Gitas last year, and I'm presently in Surat, where I think they sold 30,000 Gitas last year. So the distribution of Gita is what gives Prabhupada pleasure, transcendental pleasure. And we have faith that he's looking on from wherever he is engaged in Krishna's service at the present moment. But by his inspiration, Bhagavad Gita is being distributed now in India, at least for 40 years. At least in Gujarati, we had Gita back in 1980 and used to sell that Gita for 10 rupees. And I can remember selling, 10,000 Gitas in 3 days for 10 rupees each in 1980, December. And that's 41 years ago. So it's still big distribution is going on. And this is the international book distribution competition that's been going on in ISKCON. It's got to be, since I joined, the Sankirtan newsletter, well, I can remember in 1973. So 1973 is almost 49 years ago. And so we look at the scores every month, and it's just amazing how Gitas are being distributed more and more. And Prabhupada encouraged that transcendental competition to distribute Bhagavad Gita. So as a part of World Gita Day, for all those who are, I think people must be watching on Facebook and YouTube. I don't know, because the Zoom group is rather limited to 16 people. So I think this is being seen by a lot more. So I would encourage those who are watching this to do your part and distribute at least 1 Gita a day. That's 30 in a month. And don't sit quietly at home if you're a devotee of ISKCON. Get out there, go in the road, go door to door. Jari deke tare kaha Krishna Upadesh. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's order, whoever you see, wherever you go. Upadesh of Krishna, the teaching of Krishna is Bhagavad Gita. So I would encourage all of you to join this marathon. And as Krishna told Arjuna in Gita, Tasmat tvam utishta yashola basva. Get up. Utishta. Arjuna sat down. He didn't want to fight. So Krishna told him, Tasmat tvam utishta. Get up. Yashola basva. And become famous. Jitva shatrun. Conquer your enemies. Bhunkshva rajyam samriddham. And enjoy the kingdom. Well, that was to Arjuna, but the parallel is that whatever we're doing, we can still spend some time distributing Bhagavad Gita. Especially the youth, we're getting old now, and old means, we're about to leave our bodies. And so just like Prabhupada handed it off to us to do this work, and as it was handed to him by his guru, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, preach in English language, and if you get some money, print books. And so that inspiration has now exploded all over India and all over the world. So now the younger generation, you all take this up and keep it going. And hopefully the world will change. Even though it's Kali Yuga, Prabhupada had a hope that things would.
Video is on. I want the video on. You can speak.
So I guess the time is up. I don't know. You want me to continue or?
Prabhu, please continue. Please continue.
Acha, okay. So especially on the Sundays, when the youth is free, go out with the Sankirtan party, join your local Sankirtan. We still have 2 weeks left in the month of December. And, get out there and distribute the books on Sundays. And if you're really enthusiastic, you can go in the evening. Last night, there was an evening program that began at 9:30 and it was going to go till 11:30. It wasn't my program. I was a guest there. But this kind of enthusiasm to preach, and whenever you have the time, if it's not all day, full time, part time, if you at least on Saturday and Sunday, or at least on Sunday, distribute books and distribute specifically Gita. So Gita philosophy we know. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Think of me and become my devotee. Krishna told Arjuna this twice. Manmana bhava mad bhakto. Madhyaji mam namaskuru. Worship me and become and offer your obeisances to me. So how better to do that than distributing the Gitas? And if you can distribute to the Muslims, because there are plenty of Muslims in India, thanks to 800 years of foreign rule, they were all Hindus and they became Muslims, but they can become Hindus again. Like we are Malechas and Yavanas, Westerners. We are not allowed in the Jagannath temple. And it's probably a good thing because mostly Westerners are papacharis, not the devotees. Prabhupada was unhappy that the Western devotees couldn't go in Jagannath. But Prabhupada was expert in converting Malechas and Yavanas into Vaishnavas. So that we need more and more of that. And in India, unfortunately, the people are becoming Malechas and Yavanas, eating in McDonald's and KFC and doing all kinds of papachar. So they are the Jagais and Madais of the modern age. And so, the mission of Mahaprabhu was to convert these Jagais and Madais into devotees. And that's what happened in Chaitanya Leela. Although Jagai and Madai threw the pot at Nityananda Prabhu and blood was coming, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to kill him with the Sudarshan Chakra. But Nityananda Prabhu stopped him. Prabhu, everyone is like this now. If you kill them, you have to kill everybody. So our aim is not to kill the rascals. Our aim is to convert them. We are also rascals, Westerners. We grew up, our parents are Hiranyakashipus and our asuras, our relatives are asuras. They can't give up meat eating. So the Gita says, Adho gachanti tamasaha. If you're tamasic, you'll go down. And asurim yonim apanna mudha janmani janmani. To be born again and again as a tree or a bird or a reptile or a snake. What pleasure is there in that? So the message of Gita is to become sattvic. See, distributing Gita is what our aim is, but the people have to read what is in the Gita and learn the message of the Gita to become sattvic. Urdvam gachanti sattvasta. Those who are sattvic will go up. And where is up? Natad bhasayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Krishna's supreme abode is up. So that should be the aim. That should be the aim, to get out of this miserable material world. By studying Gita, by distributing Gita, you purify yourself and qualify yourself for the supreme abode of Krishna. Antakale chamameva smaran mukha kalevaram. At the end of life, if you remember Krishna, you get freed from this material body. I think that I've spoken enough because there are other speakers. So should I wind it up? Let me know. I can't hear.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful examples. I was just thinking that You began by quoting so many beautiful, amazing facts. You mentioned about how one of our India's Miss Universe, she gave Bhagavad Gita to the Israel leader. Then you also mentioned about Narendra Modi ji carrying Bhagavad Gita and speaking of Bhagavad Gita. Prabhuji, really, you remember all those, yeah, you remember all those information right from 1970s. Amazing. And your pure Sanskrit chanting of the verses of the Bhagavad Gita. I would like to differ with you about one thing that you mentioned that you are from Vechai and Yavana and that Indians are better. But I would say that we Indians were also actually imitating the West in a wrong way, and it was because we saw all Srila Prabhupada disciples who came all over from West, and we thought that our culture we are not practicing, and here we see devotees of West practicing India's culture so nicely, so dedicatedly that we then took up Krishna consciousness. So without your presence, all of devotees' presence came from America and all over the world, India would not be like what India is today. So Prabhu, I really differ on that. You are all a great saving grace for all Indian Yatra here. Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful class and your time for all of us here. And we would like to have you more often in our programs. We missed you many before programs because you were actually in America, different time zone. But now because you're in India, now
I'm
you're
back
in India. Yeah, now you're before previously we were in America, so we were not able to get you. So now you are in India back, so we will have you more often in our programs. So thank you, Prabhu. So thank you. So after Bashugosh Prabhu, now we have another very, very senior Indian leader here, Srila Prabhupada disciple, His Grace Mahaman Prabhu. Like Srila Prabhu, like Bashugosh Prabhu, Mahaman Prabhu also got introduced to Krishna consciousness in London when he had gone there to study the mechanical engineering at Liverpool University, and he came in touch with the Harinam process, Harinam Kirtan party, and he then came to hear a lecture of Srila Prabhupada and then dedicated his whole life to Srila Prabhupada. And after he got initiated, then after some time, Mahaman Prabhu moved to India, and since then for decades he has served as a very, very valuable Indian leader here. Currently, Mahaman Prabhu is initiating ISKCON Guru and also the zonal secretary of the entire North India, North Zone. Currently, he is based at Indore in Madhya Pradesh, from where he overlooks the activities of preaching and ISKCON temples in Madhya Pradesh and other neighboring states. So Mahaman Prabhu was very busy, still he agreed to come and join us. Currently, he's traveling, we can see here him. So Mahaman Prabhu, please kindly enlighten all of us on the impact of Gita. Hare Krishna, Mahaman Prabhu.
Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedant Swami ke Namne Namaste Saraswati Deve Goran Puchani Nivishes Sunyadi. I hope that I am audible. I am actually traveling, so in the car, but anyway, I'll try to speak. Am I audible? May I ask? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, we are able to hear you. Yeah, we are able to hear you. Okay. Can you speak a little louder so that we can hear you more clearly?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. I'm traveling, so maybe little technical problems, but I'll try my best. So actually, Srila Prabhupada used to say that this BBT, book distribution, is the heart of ISKCON, and it is also the heart of Srila Prabhupada. So as in any body, the heart is the most important organ. So BBT or book distribution is the most important activity of ISKCON. So actually, one anecdote I would like to share with you all, that once Srila Prabhupada was asked by a reporter, Swamiji, what will happen when you die? So Prabhupada replied, I will never die. Actually, every sentence of Srila Prabhupada is nectar. It's relevant to all of our lives. Yet I find this statement by Srila Prabhupada the most nectarian, directly from the mouth, lotus mouth of Srila Prabhupada, that I will never die. Another incident that took place in the Bombay temple anecdote I would like to share with you. There's one senior devotee, Bhagavad Das, my god brother. He was with Srila Prabhupada with some members, life members. Prabhupada was preaching to some life members, and he was quoting some verses. So when these life members left the room, Prabhupada asked Bhagavad Das if he understood what he was speaking. Bhagavad Das replied, sorry, Prabhupada, I could not understand. So Prabhupada said that actually, although you're doing so many services in ISKCON, we may be doing so many services, temple projects, management, fundraising, book distribution, so many other activities, but we should also study the books. Prabhupada said that it's very important that we should study these books. Then Prabhupada was silent for a moment, and then he said, I myself study my books daily. And whenever I study my books, I always find something new in these books. And then Srila Prabhupada revealed the most profound truth. He said, because these books are not written by me, every morning Krishna comes and dictates, and I just give it a written form. So actually, it is very important that we study these books as well as distribute. So the book distribution marathon devotees are actually themselves very fortunate, and they're making the whole world very fortunate by this wonderful activity of book distribution. And actually, in a seminar by Vesika Prabhu, he had mentioned that 3 or 4 points, I'm just going to summarize. These are the important points that we should remember in engaging book distribution. One thing is that we should display the books as much as possible. Then we'll be able to get more results. We should also try to sell these in bunches, books at a time, different books at a time. And then the most important thing is that we should be encouraging everyone. The more we encourage, the more devotees will be enthused to distribute this book. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur used to say, Prana Chayar se hetu prachar. Anybody that has life will preach. And the converse of this is also true, that any person who preaches will have life. So it's an excellent opportunity. This is a most pleasing activity to Srila Prabhupada. Anyone who takes these books will be benefited. One time a devotee had some doubts. We are distributing so many books, but in the Shastras also it is said that only by taking initiation can you go back to Godhead. Then Srila Prabhupada replied, as soon as you take a book, read something from the book, they are as good as initiated. So those devotees who are distributing these books are the most fortunate. Books are like deities. We should always remember that. Krishna comes in 12 forms. He has informed to Uddhava in the 11th canto that he comes in the form of metal, he comes in the form of wood, paint, earth, sand, jewels, and also mind, and also Shastra Yonitavat. Shastra Yonitavat means he comes in the form of books. So this is his incarnation as in the books. He comes as Shastra Yonivat, Shastra Yonivat. So here I will take your leave because many other devotees are also going to speak. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Bhavan Prabhu, for your enlightening talk on the impact of Gita. In fact, we know that how you're always very encouraging devotees in MP and other states where the book distribution scores are increasing year by year. We also have a good experience of Praneshwar Prabhu, who is also part of the Indian Book Distribution Committee, who is very much geared upon organizing such programs of book distribution all over India. Thank you, Bhavan Prabhu, for joining us. Next, we have with us, we are very, very happy to have with us the auspicious presence of His Holiness Jai Pataka Swami Maharaj. Hari Bol. So Maharaj has kindly agreed to bestow his wonderful mercy on all of us. Maharaj is here. Maharaj is always busy with his schedules and is also because of his health. Still, Maharaj always, for every program we invite Maharaj, he is always there, enlivening all of us. Maharaj needs no special introduction, but just for purification of all of us. You know how that Srila Jayapataka Maharaj is one of the very, very earlier disciples of Srila Prabhupada, right from the year 1967-68, when Maharaj came in touch with ISKCON. And then we know that how Srila Prabhupada initiated him in 1968. And then when Prabhupada began his preaching in India, after his Western expedition, then he called many of his reliable leaders from the West to come and join him in the Indian preaching. And one of the devotees whom Srila Prabhupada invited to India was Jayapataka Maharaj. And right from that time, Jayapataka Maharaj has spent a lot of time in India preaching and expanding the Krishna conscious activities. Jayapataka Maharaj is currently based in Mayapur, and I mean, I can speak long about Jayapataka Maharaj, but in relation to book distribution, I know that whenever it comes to book distribution, Jayapataka Maharaj is always there, personally, either distributing books or encouraging devotees to distribute books. Whenever we open the Sankirtan newsletter, the worldwide Sankirtan newsletter, and we'll find that amongst the proper disciples, Jayapataka Maharaj's name is always there with his score of distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. So even at this time when Maharaj is restricted physically, but we'll find that Jayapataka Maharaj very much enlivens devotees all over the world to distribute Srila Prabhupada's book more and more. So very, very happy that Maharaj has come here to enliven all of us here. Let us welcome Maharaj by 3 times chanting Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Maharaj, please, Hare Krishna.
Oh. Namo Vishnu Padaya
Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami
Iti Namine
Namaste Saraswati Devi
Gauravani Pracharine
Nirvisesa Sunnavadi
Paschatya Deshatarine
Sri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu Nityananda
Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi
Gaura Bhaktarinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna Hare Hare
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Hare Rama Krishna,
Yadavaya Namaha
Gopala Govinda Ram,
Srimad Sudan
Mokha Karoti Vachalam,
Pangum Langayate Girim
Yati Vatavan Mande,
Shri Gurum Dinatarinam
Paramananda Madhavam,
Shri Chaitanya Mishwaram
Hare Om Tat Sat. I'm very honored to be here with all of you.
I'm very honored to be here with all of you.
We are speaking on the importance of Bhagavad Gita
To be speaking on the importance of Bhagavad Gita
and the books in general.
and the books in general.
Actually, Lord Chaitanya, he gave 3 instructions.
Actually, Lord Chaitanya, he gave 3 instructions.
Bala Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Karo Krishna, Shikha.
Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Koro Krishna Shikha.
So, this 3rd instruction, Karo Krishna Shiksha, Prabhupada explained Bhagavad Gita is Krishna Shiksha.
So, the 3rd instruction, Koro Krishna Shiksha, Srila Prabhupada explained that Bhagavad Gita is the Krishna Shiksha
because it was spoken by Lord Krishna.
Because it was spoken by Lord Krishna.
Also, the Bhagavatam is spoken about Krishna.
Also, the Bhagavatam is spoken about Krishna.
So it's also Krishna Shiksha.
So it's also Krishna Siksha.
But especially, I saw Bhagavad Gita on the desk of Srila Prabhupada in the 1970s.
Especially, I saw Bhagavad Gita on the desk of Srila Prabhupada in 1970.
I thought, oh, you're reading Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada. Isn't this a beginning book?
So I told, oh, you are reading Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada. Isn't this a beginning book?
He said, you must study Bhagavad Gita to preach.
He said, you must study Bhagavad Gita to preach.
So this, as you heard from Mahamad Prabhu, Prana Chajar, Sahitu Prachar.
As he heard from Mahaman Prabhu, Pranache Jar Shehetu Prachar.
That we have to preach.
That we have to preach.
If we have life.
If we have life.
So, if we want to preach, we have to read Bhagavad Gita.
So if we want to preach, we have to read Bhagavad Gita.
Actually, when I took the first initiation, Prabhupada said you had to read Bhagavad Gita 10 times.
Actually, when I took the first initiation, Srila Prabhupada said, you have to read the Bhagavad Gita 10 times.
So I still have that Gita. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 10 times.
I still have the Gita. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 1, 2, 3, 4, cross. 10 times.
After reading Srila Prabhupada Gita 10 times, I was giving credit course in Loyola University.
So after reading Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita 10 times, I was giving a course in the what university?
Loyola.
Loyola University.
I also giving a course in McGill University in Montreal.
I was also giving a course in the McGill University in Montreal.
So Prabhupada explained Bhagavad Gita so nicely.
Prabhupada explained Bhagavad Gita so nicely
that one could give a college or university course.
That I wanted to give a college or university
But
course.
one could give.
That one could give you college or university course.
So this Bhagavad Gita is very important.
So this Bhagavad Gita is very important.
Actually, it's the foundation of our whole spiritual life.
Actually, it's the foundation of our whole spiritual life.
It tells us all the basics we need to know.
It tells us all the basics that we need to know.
Unfortunately, people today, they don't even know these basics.
Unfortunately, people today don't even know these basics.
And they think that they're the body.
They think that they are the body.
Bhagavad Gita clearly explains we're not the body.
Bhagavad Gita clearly explains that we are not the body.
We're the spirit soul.
That we are the spirit soul.
We're the higher energy of the Lord.
We are the higher energy of the Lord.
The material energy is the lower energy.
The material energy is the lower energy.
So people need the Bhagavad Gita just to survive in this world.
So people need the Bhagavad Gita just to survive in this world.
People are suffering like anything.
People are suffering like anything.
Because they don't know the basic facts of life.
Because they don't know the basic facts of life.
They don't know the science that's presented in the Bhagavad Gita.
They don't know the science that's presented in the Bhagavad Gita.
Why Prabhupada presented Bhagavad Gita as it is?
Why Prabhupada presented the Bhagavad Gita as it is?
Because many people, the hundreds of Bhagavad Gita commentaries.
Because there were hundreds and hundreds of Bhagavad Gita commentaries.
But everyone puts their own speculation.
But everyone puts their own speculation.
He couldn't recommend any Bhagavad Gita out of hundreds.
He couldn't recommend any Bhagavad Gita out of hundreds.
know, it's said when we didn't have Bhagavad Gita, he would say, well, maybe Gita Press, it's not really all right, but
When we didn't have Bhagavad Gita, he used to say, well, Gita Press is there, but that is not fully all right.
actually, Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada Gita, it's so listed, it's so easy to understand.
Actually, the Bhagavad Gita that Prabhupada gave is so lucid and so easy to understand.
Everyone should be studying the Bhagavad Gita.
Everyone should be studying the Bhagavad Gita.
Actually, so Prabhupada said that people should have the Bhakti Shastri to take second initiation.
Actually, Srila Prabhupada said that people should have the Bhakti Shastri to take the second initiation.
I know the Bhakti Shastri mainly Bhagavad Gita.
And we know that Bhakti Shastri, it is mainly Bhagavad Gita.
Some other books, but mainly Bhagavad Gita.
Some other books, but mainly Bhagavad Gita.
So the Bhagavad Gita is something that everyone study to be a preacher.
So the Bhagavad Gita is something that everyone should study to be a preacher.
And we're very glad that India, subcontinent, in India, the country, has pledged over 20 lakhs of Bhagavad Gitas.
We are happy that India, India, the country, has pledged more than 20 lakh Bhagavad Gita.
And this is the very wonderful. Our worldwide goal announced by Vice Speaker Prabhu was 2.2 million.
So this is very nice. Our worldwide goal actually was being announced by Vaisheshika Prabhu. It is 2.2 million.
Of that, over 2 million was pledged by India.
In that, over 2 million was pledged by India.
Not all the temples have turned in their pledges yet.
Not all the temples had turned in their pledges yet.
So you can see that India is doing a very wonderful job.
So we can see that India is doing a very wonderful job.
And reading every morning the quotes on book distribution.
We are reading every morning the quotes on book distribution.
And Prabhupada is glorifying the Bhagavad Gita.
And Prabhupada is glorifying the Bhagavad Gita.
How by reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is.
How by reading the Bhagavad Gita as it is.
A person can actually get all perfection.
Person can get all perfection.
I remember that someone was walking across a road carrying a stack of Bhagavad Gitas.
I remember that someone was was crossing the road, and he was carrying a stack of Bhagavad Gitas.
And that person didn't watch the traffic.
That person, he didn't watch the traffic.
And that person was hit by a car and killed.
That person got hit by a car and he was killed.
Prabhupada said because the devotee was carrying Bhagavad Gita.
Prabhupada said because the devotee was carrying Bhagavad Gita,
he got liberated.
He got liberated. Haribo.
So, I just think of reading. Actually, Prabhupada wanted us to read Bhagavad Gita. He said that.
What to speak of reading? Actually, Srila Prabhupada, he wanted to read the Bhagavad Gita. Actually, he said.
That's just done for other people. They distribute it.
What's that, Gurumaj? It's not that we just distribute it to the other people.
We should also read it. We should know it.
We should also read it. We should know it.
And he didn't want that. My son said, "Oh, what does this book have?"
He just didn't want to know, what's the book count?
And then the devotee said, "Well, I don't read it. I don't know."
So the devotees would say, well, I don't read it, I don't know.
He didn't want that.
We
He
don't
did
want
not
that.
want that.
He did not want that.
He wanted the devotees to read Bhagavad Gita and know the subject matter
He want,
to believe in it.
so he wanted the devotees to read the Bhagavad Gita, to know the subject matter, and to believe in it.
And then they would, so I require that. And Prabhupada said I should read the Gita 10 times to get initiation. At least I require at least they should read twice.
I said that Prabhupada said that I should read 10 times to get initiated. I require that at least they should read twice to get initiation.
Anyway, this is the World Gita Day.
So this is the World Gita Day.
All glories to Bhagavad Gita.
All glories to Bhagavad Gita.
All glories to Prabhupada who has given us this nectar of Krishna's words.
All glories to Srila Prabhupada who has given us the nectar of Krishna's words.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Jayaprakash Swami Maharaj, for your wonderful association here. We are very thankful, grateful to you for coming over here and enlivening all of us. So now we move on, and we have with us.
Thank you,
another...
Baladev Das.
Thank you, Baladev Das.
And nice to see all the books behind you.
It's nice to see all the books behind you.
I feel inspired just by seeing you with all the books.
I'm feeling so inspired just by seeing you with all the books.
Thank you, Maharaj. Please bless me. I will read these books regularly throughout my life, Maharaj.
Haribo.
Haribo. Baladev Prabhu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
So, thank you, Maharaj. So next now we have with us yet another very, very special Srila Prabhupada disciple, very senior most ISKCON India leader here. His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj. Haribol. So Loknath Maharaj also needs not much of introduction, just but from a purification and for everyone here. We'll speak little about Loknath Maharaj's contribution to the ISKCON society. Loknath Maharaj came in touch with the ISKCON movement in the 1970s, and he met Srila Prabhupada at the famous Cross Maidan Pandal program in Mumbai. And after that, Loknath Maharaj got duly initiated by Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada saw in Loknath Maharaj the fervor of preaching. And so he gave him a very big task of organizing the entire Maharashtra preaching. And he began that through the Padayatra activity. And since then, Maharaj has been very instrumental in having Padayatras, not just in India, but all over the world. He also serves as the minister of the international Padayatra thing. Currently, Maharaj is initiating ISKCON Guru and Zonal Secretary of entire Maharashtra. And Loknath Maharaj has been instrumental in creating many beautiful temples in Maharashtra and also in India. And regarding book distribution, Loknath Maharaj has been very much instrumental in inspiring devotees all over the world in distributing Srila Prabhupada's books. In fact, we have many photographs of Loknath Maharaj actually standing on the roadside on the stalls distributing Srila Prabhupada's books by his hands. So Maharaj is in this way very famous for his book distribution activities. And of course, Maharaj is also well known for his wonderful kirtans and bhajans. So very, very happy that Maharaj could come today in spite of his busy schedule, being a Sunday today, that he's here for enlivening all of us on the impact of Gita. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining us, and over to you. Haribol.
Thank you, Baldev, for this opportunity. And I think with Vedant Chaitanya also is coordinating this effort. Promotion of Gita Jayanti Marathon. So, yeah, first I wanted to say Jayapataka Maharaj liked the big stack of books behind Baldev Prabhu. I was reminded Prabhupada also used to be happy to see that the godowns are emptied. Not that the books are stocked and godown is full with the books. That's nice, but when it becomes empty, the books are loaded in the buses or on the book bags and distributed. And then again, bring more stock into the go down and empty it out. So I think, so this is, I suppose, the time to do that. The BBT is printing and supplying, you're ordering big quantities, and they're not just to be stacked and then take selfies or photographs with the big quantity of books. No, we'd like to see you distributing books, handing these books to the conditioned souls, and then take selfie. I think that's another selfie, another nice photograph of you distributing Bhagavad Gita to others, as we just were seeing our ISKCON Noida distributing books. Some big Army and Navy and Air Force officers. I just saw those photographs this morning. And I was reminded of, oh, this is Arjun also was an army man, and Krishna personally delivered Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. And now it is our turn to deliver that Bhagavad Gita to the current army men or Air Force men or Navy men. And so I was very happy to see that happening. Or ISKCON Noida devotees were targeting some VIPs or the leaders. So I like this World Gita Day term. World Gita Day, key. And I don't know why it is today that is Gita Day. Gita Jayanti Day, the day Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, that should be popularized as World Gita Day. And again, within ISKCON world, we are celebrating and we are calling this day as a World Gita Day. I would like to see that the world at large, the outer world, they declare this day or the Gita Jayanti Day as a World Gita Day. They say every dog has its day. Huh? You have heard the term. Every dog has its day. So there's a Mother's Day, Father's Day, Valentine's Day, this day, that day, even Yoga Day. What about Gita Day? I think recognize our should approach the Prime Minister of India. I was also watching his video, and he was talking about distribution of Bhagavad Gita, and he did say, I think I was very proud of our Prime Minister when I heard him say that as he goes around, he distributes Gitas to the world leaders. And one statement he made, which I thought was very profound, and he said, to give something as a gift, there is nothing better than Bhagavad Gita as the gift to give. And when it is talking about receiving a gift, he said, also there is no better gift than Bhagavad Gita to receive. So to give gift, to receive gift, Gita is the best gift, which is a fact. And we should be understanding that Gita is God. Gita is Krishna. Bhagavad Gita is not different from the Lord. You cannot separate Lord's words from him, right? So, ya swayam padmanabhasya mukhapadmat vinisritaha. Words emanated from Lord's mouth. That's Lord. So as we give Gita to somebody, we are giving Krishna to them in the form of Bhagavad Gita, in the form of the sound, Shabda. But that Shabda is Para Brahma, Shabda Para Brahma, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram, Paramam Bhavan. So that Gita is ultimately a person, Sri Krishna. So, Hari. So I'm happy that on this occasion of World Gita Day, devotees or leaders from around the world are putting their heads together, and we are kind of doing a think globally, act locally, as this another saying goes. Think globally, act locally. So we have opportunity to hear realizations or even some success stories or Sankirtan stories, the greatness of Gita. We get to hear this, we get further inspired and act locally wherever we are stationed. World Gita Day, I think if we could make the Gita available or somehow make a strategy plan to make sure every person on this planet gets a Gita. I think gradually we are moving towards such thought and strategy that we would like to make sure that every person on the planet gets a Gita, connect them with Krishna. Because Krishna did not, well, he did speak to Arjuna, but he was not the only target, or he was immediate target there, but ultimately, Lord was thinking how his message to Arjuna could reach also every town, every village of this planet, every person on this planet. So that is the goal. We have to make that as a goal and work our strategy accordingly. We are kind of maybe halfway through the marathon period. And it's good to do a Simhavalokan, a review from time to time how we are doing. My target, our temple target is 51,000 Bhagavad Gitas. Or as Hepataka Maharaj was reminding, our world target is, well, he said, Vaishya Sikha Prabhu said 2.2 million, but I thought it was 2.5 million, not 2.2 million. I had heard previously as 2.5 million as a target. So how we are getting there, whether we need to improve or just reorganize human resource or any other resources, improve, increase, intensify, so that we achieve this target of 2.5 million Bhagavad Gitas globally. And of course, India's quota is the biggest one. we have become big brothers. And 20 lakhs, 2 million, 20 lakhs Bhagavad Gita to be distributed within India. And so we'll have to work now, samadhi later, as as we hear in ISKCON, work now, samadhi later. We'll have to really do Jeev Jago, get up and wake up and make sure we achieve our targets. In Srila Prabhupada in early 50s, he had approached Dr. Rajendra Prasad, the first first president of India, and Prabhupada was appealing to the president, help for publication of my Back to Godhead magazine. And in later that Prabhupada wrote, Prabhupada writes that, first he writes that he has a clue that when he leaves his body, he is going to go back to Godhead. His Prabhupada, I have a clue that I'm going to be returning back to Godhead. Then Prabhupada also writes that I would like to bring all my contemporary human beings with me or along with me as I go back to Godhead. So this could be achieved. This is Prabhupada's vision, or this is Prabhupada's big thinking again. So this could be achieved, realized by distribution of Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is also Lord's invitation. Please come back home. Please come back home. Tyaktva deham punarjanmaneti mameti so Arjuna. You'll come back to me, Krishna says. This is the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Towards the end, again he says, Manmana bho madbhakto madhyazi mam namaskuru mama eva eshasi satyante pratijane priyosi me. Do these things. Manmana bho madbhakto madhyazi mam namaskuru mama eva eshasi. You will come back to me. So the Bhagavad Gita is kind of invitation. Lord is inviting his parts and parcels, his devotees, to return back to home, back to Godhead. So this world is dukhalayam ashashvatam, terrible, horrible, obnoxious, and there's no way nature of this world could be changed. Only thing we could do is change our location or situation. Go back to home, and that's the message of Bhagavad Gita. So it is a duty of all the followers of Srila Prabhupada ki, Srila Prabhupada's followers, to distribute Bhagavad Gitas far and wide, so that more and more people become eligible, qualified, deserving candidates to return back to Godhead and be happy forever. Okay, I suppose I will have to stop somewhere. So thank you, Baldev and company, your team, again, for this opportunity. I think this is good. I think never before we had a this is my 3rd or 4th time I'm talking about this Gita Marathon or book distribution marathon, and other leaders are also doing, and I'm sure there'll be a few more times before end of the marathon. There'll be more get-togethers and churning the thoughts and strategy and reminders. So this is good. This will give further boost to our book distribution. So well-coordinated efforts are going on, and I wish you all successful marathon and World Gita Day ki jai, Bhagavad Gita as it is ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Krishna Arjuna ki jai, Kurukshetra Dham ki jai, Nithai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.
Hare
All
Krishna.
the book distributors ki also jai. They are the first ones. Okay.
Thank you very much, Maharaj, for your very inspirational talk, especially asking us to do a Simhavalokan, the reviewing of what's happening all over India. We'll take a clue from there, and we will definitely work on that parameter of how whether the devotees all over ISKCON India are doing their pledges or not. And especially thanks for that information of the desire of making it that all the every person in the world gets Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Indeed, that's a very important thing. Prabhupada always told us to think big, and devotees in ISKCON should gear up for that task of at least reaching out to everyone and making sure that Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita is with each and every person on this planet Earth. Thank you, Maharaj, for your inspirational talk as always. And thank you for agreeing for future also to join us. That's very positive of you. We'd like to thank Vedant Chaitanya, who is our national convener for Book Distribution Marathon. And he'll also take a clue that next time we have the awards ceremony, we'll also have with you, you for our awards ceremony as well. Thank you, Maharaj, for joining. So taking the clue from Loknath Maharaj about the reviewing part, we take you now to ISKCON Pune. And we have with us the Vice President of ISKCON Pune, His Grace Sarva Lakshana Prabhu. Sarva Lakshana Prabhu is a very, very senior devotee in ISKCON since the year 2002. He has been a very accomplished corporate person. In fact, he worked for the as an educational consultant for World Book of Encyclopedia, and before he joined ISKCON in the year 2004 in Pune. And under his leadership and guidance of Radhesham Prabhu and His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, we all know that ISKCON Pune has been standing the #1 temple in the whole world for book distribution marathon. So we are here now with His Grace Sarva Lakshan Prabhu, and he's going to share us how ISKCON Pune stood first in the whole world last year in spite of the pandemic. Over to you, Sarva Lakshan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity to speak here. And I am not qualified here to speak in front of very senior devotees. So I take the dust of His Holiness Loknath Swami Maharaj, His Grace Mahaman Prabhu, and all the senior devotees assembled here. So actually, last year when we started book distribution, and all the devotees, they wanted to offer something to Srila Prabhupada, because this year we are going to celebrate 125th year of Srila Prabhupada's appearance. So keeping in mind, we have kept a very special gift for ISKCON Pune devotees, that whoever distributes 125 Bhagavad Gitas, they will get one Srila Prabhupada's beautiful murti, which is very specially designed by one of our devotee, His Grace Sundarvar Prabhu. He personally went to Mayapur, and very special murti was designed, and everybody knew that if we at least distribute 125 Bhagavad Gita, then we will get that very special murti. And that was the actually devotees distribute for the pleasure of Srila Prabhupada. And this year, everybody got that very beautiful murti. And in ISKCON, we have one thing, very special thing is that we have counselor system introduced by His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, and each and every counselor is having minimum of 30 to 40 counselees under them, and we have minimum 80 to 90 counselors like that, and we have all the datas of all the counselors as well as counselees, and we communicate through the counselors, and that counselors will communicate to their counselees, and very nicely that the communication system is there. Whatever new techniques of book distribution is there, we circulate through those WhatsApp group, and all the innovative book distribution methods by His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu and other temples also, we immediately communicate through WhatsApp system. And another thing is that His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, he comes every year, beginning of marathon, and he gives one talk to all the congregation devotees as well as brahmacharis, and he gives us charge. And then at the end of the marathon, he will personally come to Pune to distribute the prize, and devotees very eagerly waiting for His Holiness Gopal Krishna Maharaj to come for that prize distribution, and they want to take gift from his holy hand. So another thing is that we have Bhagavad Gita contest. Actually, last year during pandemic, it was not possible, but in Bhagavad Gita contest, all our brahmacharis as well as congregation devotees wholeheartedly they take part. Another thing is that His Grace Radhesham Prabhu, being a president of temple, he will distribute personally. He will go to railway stations and bus stands and everywhere. Personally, he distributes books. So when president of the temple himself is in the street and he is distributing, then congregation devotees as well as brahmacharis, everybody will become enthusiastically. They will also take part in book distribution. Another thing is that brahmacharis, they distribute through bus party. We have 3 buses all over Maharashtra. We distribute Bhagavad Gita, and brahmacharis are distributing to their counselees as well as to relatives. Another thing is that all the devotees, children, matajis, and congregation devotees, they're also taking part. And for prize distribution, we are spending abundantly. And because of this prize distribution, our book distribution has increased very nicely. This year also we are distributing prize for those who distribute even 32, 1 box or 2 box or 3 box or 125 as Srila Prabhupada's appearance we are celebrating, or 500. Whoever distributes those number of books, we are distributing prize. Another thing is that we have some devotees who are very stalwart book distributors. Those who are distributing like 25,000, 30,000, 40,000. One devotee distributor, along with his counselees, he distributed more than 80. His Grace Vijay Gopikeshwar Prabhu, he distributed 80,000 Bhagavad Gita last year. So because of these devotees, we are distributing very nicely, and we take blessings of all the devotees, stalwart book distributors, to we invite them to give class for his Pune devotees. By the blessings of Srila Prabhupada and Prabhupada disciples and all the senior devotees, we are getting mercy, and by their mercy only it is happening. We pray at the lotus feet of all the devotees assembled here, so that they can bestow us mercy, that we can continue distributing Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much, Baladev Prabhu, and all the devotees, those who are managing here. Give me a chance for speaking something. Please forgive me if I speak something wrong. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Sarva Lakshan Prabhu. Thank you very much. And really, you have so much to speak, Prabhu. I think the 5 minutes was very less for you. And we have concluded now that we'll have a video of ISKCON Pune strategy separately on the ICC book distribution YouTube channel. We'll have it. So at this, as we are winding up our India thing here, at the end, we want to conclude with a 2 minute speech from our ICC chairman, Sahadev Prabhu. and thereupon then in the end we will have a beautiful soothing kirtan from Mayapur by Nitai Madhav Prabhu and his team of Gurukul students. Yes, Sadhguru.
Okay, Prabhus, all the best, and Maharajas and our ISKCON team, ISKCON Global, we are one word. Finally, Shankaracharya, just Eko Mantra, let there be one mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one book, Shastram Devaki Putra Gitam, let there be one book, and one activity, distribution of Bhagavad Gita, practicing and preaching about it. And this is the way we got to do it now or never. We are at a critical point in the human history. The civilization around us is crumbling, and I'll just one incident. A sweeper in Poland, His Holiness Indradimna Swami told this story a few years ago. He just visited a public WC public toilet, and as he washed his hand and he was coming out, the sweeper called him over and said, "Do you have a few minutes, sir?" He said, "Sure." So he opened his drawer, and the sweeper the janitor took out a Bhagavad Gita. Maharaj was very surprised. And he started preaching about this book. And Maharaj asked him, "So how you got it?" He said, he gave a whole background, how he saw that, and he had to save almost 1.5 months' salary to buy this. And he does it. Whoever comes to and has a few minutes, can spare a few minutes, he's allowed to. He talks about it, and Maharaj asked him, why you are talking, because he says this conveys the best news, that you never die. You are not this body, you are the spirit soul. And so a sweeper in Poland can do, certainly all of us can do. Hare Krishna, Jai Srila Prabhupada ki, Bhagavad Gita Day ki Jai.
Thank you very much, Sadhguru Prabhu, for again inspiring all of us, and thanks for your effort in arranging this book distribution in the Indian Yatra here. Now we'll conclude with our Mayapur Gurukul students leading us beautiful small kirtan, and then we give the baton back to Rukmani Mataji to take the next Yatra. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. So the effect of Srila Prabhupada's purports, Bhagavad Gita was spoken by Krishna 5,000 years ago, but the effect and impact of Srila Prabhupada's purports has been so amazing because of the way in which Srila Prabhupada is presented. I remember myself also, I was a college student and I happened to receive a Bhagavad Gita when I was just 15 years old, and I happened to read it, and so many of my own questions got answered. And because of that, then I joined the temple, and then now we are here teaching in Gurukula, teaching Bhagavad Gita to Gurukul students. So those devotees who did the distribution, who set up the stall in the college, they didn't find that they did any tangible service, because hardly some books went. But we don't know what may come out of our preaching. So it is Srila Prabhupada's purports which have such an impact, and because of that we are trying to still serve and teach the same Bhagavad Gita in the Gurukul. We have with here Gurukul students who are going to now chant the holy names. So we request you to also chant along with them.
कीर्तन कर रहे हैं लोकनाथ महाराज थे, जयप्रकाश महाराज थे। Hare Krishna. Thank you all for watching the Indian time slot for the World Gita Day. So now I hand over the baton to the next country, the next yatra, the New Zealand yatra, and we have with us Kathamrita and Devi Mataji here. Mataji, please take over. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Baladeva Prabhu. It's been wonderful to watch everyone in India and hear all that inspiration.